Hi, so I'm Mary Rocha, and today I'm going to be talking about the American political spectrum. With the elections coming up and everything that's been going on in the world, many of us are getting more into politics and following along with our government more. And as this goes on, we have begun hearing the names such as far left and far right. And many people wonder, where do I fit in and where do my beliefs align me with? So I'm going to be talking about the American political spectrum and then how it reflects into our daily lives. For this speech, I will also be referencing this behind me, so I'm going to take some time to explain what this means and why it's so important to our government. So we start over here with the right. And so everything political is on a spectrum. We have the right, centricism, and then the left. So many people believe that America has a far right and a far left, but that's not really the case when you put it on the grand political spectrum. We do have a far right, although. And on the farthest, we have Stephen Miller, the senior advisor to the president, and his beliefs do line him with fascism. And then next we have the conservative. So conservatives are a type of Republican. They tend to be even more right than the traditional Republican, and many of their beliefs are based on religious teachings. So Mike Pence, our vice president, is a good example of an extremely conservative person. He used to be the governor of Indiana, and during that time he implemented many harmful health rules that harmed people who had AIDS and HIV and prevented them from getting help. So that's an issue with the far right and also with the far left, is people implementing their own religious beliefs on others. Then we have Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is not as far right as Mike Pence or Stephen Miller, but his beliefs do line him up with the right. I think a common phrase that many people hear now is oh, I vote Republican because of the economy. So that is one of the Republicans' biggest talking points, is their economic beliefs. And then we have centricism. So that's where most American politicians really do lie, and that's where most people in the United States do lie. So Barack Obama, when both him and Hillary Clinton were in the Senate, he was a senator from Illinois, she was a senator from New York. She was the 13th most liberal, and he was the 18th most liberal at the time. And then, so they're all, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, are all considered moderate Democrats. And then you have the space between the Democratic Socialists and the moderate Democrats, and that would be considered liberals. People who have very liberal viewpoints are open to a lot of things. Nancy Pelosi, our current Speaker of the House, is a liberal. She's definitely not as liberal as many, but she is considered that. And so these are all people who are considered moderates, or would be moderate on the grand political spectrum. And then we have Bernie Sanders. So Bernie Sanders is the most left-leaning person in the United States government at this time. But he's still not a socialist. He is a democratic socialist, and he still does have many similar viewpoints as to someone like Nancy Pelosi or Joe Biden. And then we move all the way over here to the far left. At the absolute end is Karl Marx, and then Joseph Stalin, and then Gandhi. So Gandhi over till about where Bernie Sanders is all socialism, and then these two are considered communist. So when Americans kind of are talking about their own political beliefs, many people don't exactly know where they lie on this spectrum. So according to polling, I do have the data right here just because I didn't want to mess up any of the percentages because it's really important to this. So according to polling done by Gallup Polling, and it came out in February 2020, so still very recent, 29% of all Americans identify as Democrats, 30% as Republicans, and 39% as independent or moderates. So that's not really that surprising that many people came out as moderates, because a lot of people, especially now, are very uncertain on who they're going to vote for or where their beliefs align. So there's a lot of people who are like, well, my personal beliefs and social beliefs tend to put me more on the Democratic spectrum, but my economic beliefs put me more Republican. And that's why you have so many independents, and that's why you have so many people who look at elections one election at a time, and really it's important to get to know the candidates and get to know their own issues. And then also, I thought this was interesting by Pew Research Center so they did polling in each individual state about their own demographic makeup of Republicans versus Democrats. So for Massachusetts, which is one of the most liberal states in the United States, 34% of people identify as Republican, 48% Democrat, and the rest is independent or non-disclosed. And then Alabama, which is one of the most conservative, the super conservative Republican states in the union, and that's 52% Republican, 35% Democrat. So that is just such a huge population that is still over here, because a lot of people really do fall in the centricism and in the moderates. And that's what we have to make sure Americans are educated on, is that although the news is always saying Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren are far left, they're not. They are obviously to the left of the political spectrum, but they're not this far left, and they're not Karl Marx or that. And people have so much fear around these words, communism and socialism, that when they really do start learning about it, they're like, oh, that doesn't really seem that bad, or, oh, that makes a lot more sense. And so according to Newsweek, in a survey that came out in May 2019, 43% of Americans say that some sort of socialism would benefit the United States. So whether that be Medicaid for all or some tuition-free public college, which is also a form of socialism, they think it would benefit the United States. And then 57% said that if we start on a path to socialism, it's also a path to communism. So I think the most important thing that can happen in the United States is everyone becoming more educated on the political spectrum and where the United States lies. That we don't have a far left anymore. We have an incredibly far right, and we have a moderate left, but we have no more far left. And then something that I thought was really, really interesting is called the political compass. So if you go to Google and you type that in, it comes up with a survey or quiz you can take. It's about 30 questions. I think it took me 10 minutes, and it tells you where on the political spectrum you lie. So I think it's important that all people take a quiz or figure out where they lie so they can learn about the issues that they're passionate about, and they can become more educated on our American political spectrum. Thank you.